So when we started working on this record, we were setting out to make something that would have naturally fit right in at home on either Sire or 4AD records in the 1980s, stylistically, and I think that we really succeeded in accomplishing that. I'm Dave from the Inner Party.
And I'm Keith, also Inner Party.
We're here at Riley's in Fayetteville, Arkansas, which is actually
the site of our first show.
Early in our career, Night Flying described us by saying, quote, "Think the Pixies mixed with Ween and a little bit of every band that your mom would hate." We thought that was a pretty funny way to sum it up, and there's actually a lot of relevance to the history of our band in that. Keith and I originally met because we were working at a restaurant together, and the first time we hung out, we went to see Ween play with Queens of the Stone Age, and that was also the first night that we talked about playing music together. We've always liked Ween and modeling ourselves kind of after what they do, because they're just so fluid with the way that they seamlessly jump from genre to genre and do all these different styles. Well, we've been playing together, we've really been playing music together for almost 20 years now, because we first met in 1999 and almost immediately we talked about having a band. This band didn't start up until much, much later, though some of the songs that we play in the Inner Party have their origins well before the band.
Money swirls down the drain, so much knowledge left to gain.
Among other things, the album is loosely based on the life cycle of the universe, as theorized in the popular science book, The 5 Ages of the Universe by Fred Adams and Gregory P. Laughlin, which also informs a lot of the general mythology within our band. For instance, that's where the title of our second EP, Degenerate Era, comes from. Degenerate Era is a term in the book. Anyway, that's the inspiration for this title, Darker, as well. The idea being that the universe ultimately winds up in a state of total darkness, and that's what's happening all the time. The universe is always getting darker.
The first thing that I wanted to be when I was a kid was an astronaut, so space has always, been a big interest of mine.
On this most recent record, Darker, there's kind of something for everyone on there stylistically. Cover a lot of ground with it.
Into this whole future kind of scenarios with the darker kind of chronology or whatever. But I think that's all just great. Dave wrote some of the first songs that were political that we performed and recorded, and around the same time, that was after we had been playing a little bit already, I believe, and around the same time is when I kind of got personally politicized, so it was Actually, it was Obamacare. That's when I started, and I follow the news really closely ever since then. I like having a bit of a comment to add to the discussion about stuff, and hopefully, you know, there's been some people who pick up on that.
So in addition to the core band on the recording of this album, we also had a lot of guests. There are actually over 30 different people that play different things on the record, and we were really lucky to have that. I think opening up the band to bring in all these different elements that weren't there before, like live horns and live strings and bouzouki even, things like that, really helped to expand our sound. And the guests were just as important to the record as the actual members of the band themselves, and so we were just really lucky in that respect. A solid 18 months actually in the studio. And by the studio, I mean 3 different studios, because we went to Nebraska to record at Fuse. We wound up tracking quite a bit of stuff at the Let's Talk Figure studio here in Fayetteville, and that also played a big role in us bringing in guests. And
yeah, okay, there's a lot of different people that hang out around there that are all musicians and play multiple different instruments, you know.
We were lucky enough with this record that we got to work with Jason Livermore at the Blasting Room in Fort Collins, Colorado, who did our mastering, and that was an excellent experience. He's a world-renowned mastering engineer. He said that he thought our record sounded, quote, like a more LSD Marilyn Manson, and I thought that was a pretty interesting way of putting it. Very much appreciate everyone that takes the time to listen to our music. As we've said, we've spent a lot of time working on this record, and so the whole point of that was so that other people would be able to listen to it and enjoy it. So thank you to everyone that takes the time.
Thank you to everyone that takes the time to listen. And thank you to everyone, again, mentioning everyone who played on the record and sang backups and whatnot. Thank you to all of you and everyone else involved. It was great.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
The record is available. It's on our Bandcamp, theinnerparty.bandcamp.com. We're on Spotify. We're on iTunes. We have a Pandora. We're
everywhere fine records are sold.
Yes.
Or streamed.
93 million miles. 93 million miles. 93 million miles. 93 million miles.
You can go to theinnerparty.com to find out anything really under the sun that you could possibly want to know about our band.
Thank you. Thank you all.
Paging Aaron Poppy, stage left.
Hey, praising and blazing now, y'all.
This next song is, I guess, the current single from our new album, Darker, which we are here to celebrate.